Hi, my name's Kevin Pettigrew, and this is 3 a.m. Pillow Talk. I haven't put out a video in about a week and a half, I think, because I've been working on getting custody visitation rights of my daughters through the courts. My baby girls, 5 and 6. I lost them in a divorce about 4 years ago, and so I finally got off my ass to do that. So I've been kind of jumping through hoops and I keep getting a couple hurdles put in my way, but I think hurdles, they don't have to be so big. It depends. I mean, I've been through a whole lot, so them hurdles aren't nothing to me. I'll just keep on going after it. I decided to come outside and do this one because I've been trapped inside all day. It's been a day off work, and I am absolutely driving me crazy being inside all day, so I figured I'd come out and get a little change of scenery, get some fresh air. I just got done reading a book. It is called Your Brain on Love, and it's by a guy named Stan Tatkin, and he's got a doctorate in psychology, and it's a neuroscience-based look at a healthy relationship, which I went down this road about this relationship stuff and the masculine feminine energy because when I lost my leg and I was in my third marriage at the time, I had no clue what was going on behind the scenes, I guess. And it got so freaking bad. I introduced drugs into it. That was my fuck up. But it got so bad. I wanted to understand why people treat each other the way they do. So I've been, it was several failed relationships after that, several failed dating attempts. I realized that I just really wanted to get to a spot where I understood. Like, knowledge is power. I don't care. And instead of complaining about all your fucking relationships, I think that we are the common denominator in them. So you either making bad choices or doing something wrong. There's always something on your end most of the time also. So this book is a neuroscience-backed look at healthy relationships, and it is absolutely freaking fascinating. It's got some evolutionary psychology in it. It's got, like, we are just attracted to what we're attracted to. It's a mating thing, from evolutionary, from long time ago, ever since we're freaking cave people or whatever, we have been polygamous. We have always leaned for polygamy or serial monogamy, and serial monogamy is when you just bounce from person to person. You're like monogamous during that person, but there's always an overlap, so it's not, I don't know. But and we've never lived this long either, so I think they say monogamy is very good for societies because everything kind of calms down. We're not all just running around chasing each other around, and I believe in monogamy. I won't ever do anything but monogamy, and I think some of us were born a little different and didn't fit in quite well, but this book goes absolutely against all of society's norms right now toward a relationship. Like, from an evolutionary perspective, we were meant to be dependent on each other. They did a study where they pulled a bunch of couples into a room and they took them one by one or whatever, and they did a test, and it was something like riddles. They had to answer riddles or questions that were hard to answer, and some of them deferred to each other. They worked together to figure out the answers, and some of them were absolutely against that, and it was an independent thing. And they figured out that the couples that were more dependent on each other actually, within 6 months, accomplished more independent goals. So I think everything, and what he says, everything emanates from you two. Everything emanates from that relationship, So I thought it was a really good freaking book. I'm going to put a picture of a screenshot of the book cover or whatever. I got it on Audible. It's on Audible. I'll put because I think it's a really, really good look at keeping, past that dopaminergic honeymoon phase. It kind of just kind of creating a long-lasting relationship. So anyways, you have to read it. And then, yeah, you have to give it a shot. I've been actually thinking about dopamine a lot. I don't know why I've been thinking about dopamine so much. I heard one podcast with this dopamine expert. So dopamine can be a novelty chemical, so anything novel in our lives, right? So that's why a lot of people cheat, because it's no longer novel. They go find something novel. They get that whole dopamine rush of honeymoon phase all over again. And it's also a survival chemical. So we'd be dead if we did not create dopamine. They bioengineered some rats that did not create dopamine. And if they manually put food in the rat's mouth, he'd eat it. And I guess if you can tell a rat's enjoying food by his face, they said he was enjoying the food. But if you put it just a rat's body's length away from him, he would stand there and starve. He would not walk however long rats are, he would not walk that freaking far to eat, because dopamine is a survival chemical. That's the reward system, right? So we go and do something, and we get. So that was absolutely, that's been really fascinating to me. And from another kind of evolutionary thing, we used to have to work really, really hard for just a little bit of freaking dopamine. Really hard for just a little bit of dopamine. And now it's in our fingertips, man. Everything, like every like on Facebook is a little dopamine hit. Everything's so accessible to us, and I think it overloads our nervous system. I notice when I've had to ground myself lately, because I notice when I'm really on social media, and I'm trying to do social media also for a reason to kind of get the word out there and get my podcast out there and stuff like that, but then I start kind of chasing after that dopaminergic thing, and then my nervous system gets fucked up, and I'm no longer sleeping well. So I notice the effects it has on me when I start getting addicted to dopamine. And I think 90% of us are just addicted to these cheap dopamine rushes. I heard this dopamine expert say something. He said, do this. Receive today's dopamine hit from your past self. So he talked about maybe putting a note in your pocket of a jacket or a coat you want to go wear for a while, like a love letter to yourself, or maybe a $100 bill or something like that. And you find it in 3 months, 6 months, and bam, you just gave yourself a dopamine hit. But also, I think it's like long-term goals also. So if we start building something, we start looking at we kind of steering away from instant gratification, which I'm trying to do. And we start going for, long-term goals. We can set stuff up today. It may suck. It may be anxiety. Maybe you're trying to build a business, or you're trying to do a podcast like I am. I get like 2 views, and it's a fucking dopamine hit for me. But I'm gonna ride with that. So if you're trying to do something today, do something hard today to provide your future self a dopamine hit. And I think that all of us would probably be living a happier life if we weren't just chasing after that dopamine hit. And that's another thing. I'm looking at my notes right now, and they're so sloppy. I just can't. So you got a dopamine scale in your brain, and this is what drugs and alcohol do a lot. And what they'll do is they'll flood your system with dopamine, which is probably why they call drugs dope. And the scale gets way off balance. Just so much heavy dopamine in your brain. Well, your body strives for homeostasis, which means it tries to maintain normal levels of everything, whether it's your body weight or anything else. And so your body will overcompensate every time and they call it gremlins in the scale, to just bad feeling hormones or whatever it is your brain adjusts to, and it will weigh it down so hard, just overcompensating for that dopamine, so it doesn't bring it back to level, it goes below level, which is why you come down off drugs. So I think we're all addicted to a little bit of everything, and I think if we, stay addicted to some stuff, I don't want to live like a hyper sanitary life. I like things messy too. And that's one thing I thought about digging this relationship stuff, is I still like messy stuff. I don't want to be too clinical about anything I freaking do, but I just want to understand and learn. So, I guess in closing, this little 10 minute episode, if you're struggling with addiction, or I went through my hard times with addiction, and I was able to pull myself out of it, but I did not have anyone to help me pull myself out of it. It took a long time. It took a long time to even get to, even after I quit doing so many drugs and drinking so damn. I wake up at 8 in the morning and start drinking. So even after I quit doing all that, I still had a shadow hanging over me. It took a long time to cast that off, but. So if you're struggling with any kind of a freaking addiction, because it's really been on my mind heavy lately. I've got a couple bros that absolutely deal with that. They help people get clean. They're into recovery really hard. So hit me up. If you're struggling with anything, just hit me up and I can steer you in the right direction. I don't know how to get people clean. I'd be like, just go to the gym, bro, But so I think it's a little more complicated than that. And so in closing this out, I hope y'all have a good rest of your Wednesday. I can't wait actually to hit the gym in the morning, get back to work, and feel like a normal freaking person, not a bum. I have been watching TV literally all day. I got all emotional over the end of Yellowstone. They did really well on that. Although it was kind of weird that Kevin Costner, that he wasn't in it, but they had like a dummy of him in it, and it didn't really look like him. They did these weird things, but so I guess. Anyways, y'all have a good motherfucking night. That was the first time I cussed. I'm trying to stop cussing so much. Y'all have a good night. And this is me signing off.